Well, it's been interesting. There's no doubt about that. Presiding Commissioner Darrell Skiles being this morning, and first off, good to see you, my friend.
Good morning,
Good to see you.
Stan.
Can make it.
Busy morning.
Oh,
Busy
I'm-
time of year, isn't
I'm
it?
telling you, crazy time of year
Yes,
right
sir.
now, and trying to get things on. We have a special guest with us. I'm making sure I've got all this stuff situated right so we can get Mike
You're
on. But
you're on it, Stan.
Try it, Mike.
Got us.
This is Mike Dunn from the Salem Farmers Market. Yes.
All right, so we're still making a few little corrections here, but we'll get it. And nonetheless,
Is my mic working, Stan? Am
your
I
mic's
on?
working fine.
My mic's working.
Yeah,
My
your
mic's working.
Doing good.
My
It's
mic's
just-
working, and so I want to introduce a mic. Can I
you
do
wanna
that now?
introduce-
We're working on fixing technical
yeah,
stuff
we had a
here.
little technical issue.
So bear with us, folks.
Try it again.
This is Mike Dunn from the Salem Area Community Betterment Association Farmers Market.
Not getting what I want here.
Do I need to loan him my mic?
Well, I was trying to avoid that, Darrell, but
If we
Well,
have to, we can share here.
we can try to. Let's see if we can get that thing.
Technology's great when it all works exactly as planned, but sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah, and it's not right now, and I can honestly tell you, but I don't have any idea why it's not. But we'll continue to work on that. But well, let's try it again, Mike.
This is Mike Dunn with the Salem Farmers Market.
We get a little bit, but well, let's go ahead and try it. All right, first off, Mike is here. Obviously, you've been here. I'm trying to give us some information, but we're going to have to try and figure out why we're having some issues here. But anyway,
That's all right.
nonetheless,
We've got a mic that
we
works
got
here, and
one.
we'll just
You bet.
share one here.
You bet. That's
So-
right. Sorry about the inconvenience.
That's all right. We'll make this work. No big deal. One thing about it, and when you live down here in the hills and things, we learn to adapt.
You betcha.
Adversity doesn't mean anything to us.
Well, you betcha. Well, wait.
So anyway, we're about ready to go. But I do want to welcome everybody. This is our twice a month update on what's
Yes.
going on in the county commission, and county news. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I do have my special guest here, Mike Dunn, and he runs the farmers market for the Salem Area Community Betterment Association. Farmers market up by the what used to be the old visitor center up at the ONCRC, and right up on the hill above the fire department. And
Right.
the farmers market is off to a good start. So, Mike Dunn, I appreciate you coming in, because we had a Community Betterment Association board meeting this past Monday, and Mike updated about what was going on with farmers market. And I thought, well, you know what, it'd be good to have him come on the radio and kind of share with folks that haven't been to
Absolutely.
it or anything, what's going on and so forth. And it sounds like things are off to a good start. So, Mike, you want to share kind of what you do with the farmers market and what's going on, and vendors and new vendors, old vendors, so forth and so on.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me on. So the farmers market started up in May, and it runs Saturday from 7:30 to 12. And we've had 22 vendors out there so far selling. So we've had a good turnout of vendors and lots of customers. And so lots of good produce, meats. We've gone through the strawberry season. We're moving into blueberries and blackberries. And so lots of good both food and crafts for people to come out and buy and meet folks and talk with your neighbors.
So you're going to have people up there selling blackberries?
Well, we're starting to move into that season. We've just kind of moved through strawberries, and we'll progress into some blackberries and blueberries.
You know, there's nothing better than homegrown vegetables. Everybody knows that. And pretty soon the tomatoes are all going to be coming out. Everybody's going to be, clamoring for those. And and with the way the weather was earlier with that nice rain and now the heat, they should be starting to pop up very quickly. But one of the things, Mike, that our farmers market does have, and a lot of people who have been there before, we have some homegrown honey. People actually develop their honey here. Tom Haynes has done that. We've had others do the same thing. And we have had people craft some baked goods, like you said. Even soaps. We find different craft items that are there like that.
Yes, quite a few. Some of the new vendors are bringing in some soaps and salves and different lotions, spice mixes. We have a couple of craftsmen there that have started up this year. We have one new vendor this year that grows soft red wheat here in the Salem area, harvests it winnows it and grinds it himself and sells it in at the farmer's market, a non-GMO wheat. So
Wow.
It's a non-GMO wheat flour then.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Wow, I'll be-
And so that's kind of a neat product, and so we're getting some different vendors joining the market, and that's kind of neat to see with different products they're offering.
And you're always looking for new vendors as well, right?
That's right. We have space for new vendors. We also have 3 spaces for food trucks, and so we don't currently have food trucks selling at the market, but if there's any folks out there with food trucks interested, we'd love to have them come and give it a try.
It's kind of a captured market when you're there because you're going to take your time with everybody walks from booth to see what's down there.
What are the hours? When is farmer's market open and closed and so forth and so on?
Yeah, so we start up at 7:30 on Saturdays and we go till noon. And usually vendors are there all the way till noon, but sometimes, the last couple weeks, some have sold out a little early and then they leave early when they don't have anything left to sell.
And that was what I was going to say. Anytime anybody's ever been to a farmer's market, the earlier you get there, the better selection you have. Because people, once they start seeing that the farmer's market, either this vendor has fantastic tomatoes or watermelons or cantaloupes, whatever they have, boy, they go in a hurry. And it seems like the word spreads like wildfire. Hey, get up here now. They've got fresh cantaloupes. Hey, get up here now. They got fresh tomatoes. So make sure you get there as early as possible because the selection is always better early in the morning.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Is there anybody, you mentioned food vendors, is there anybody in the mornings like serving biscuits and gravy or anything like that? Started the...
Not currently, no. I mean, they used
There you
to
go,
do that, but
Sounds good to me.
yeah, they used to do that, but with health regulations, it
Sure.
needs to be a commercial kitchen, and
Yeah.
so that got
I
shut
see.
down, and so that's where we're looking for food trucks or trailers to come in and kind of fill that
Those food
void.
trucks have already met the requirements.
That's right.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to be a vendor, what do they need to do? They need to fill out any forms, or is there a cost? Tell us a little bit, Mike.
Yeah, the cost to be a vendor for the week is $10 for the Saturday, or you can join for the year for $100. And the main part of the market goes from May through September, so that's what that year membership would cover. And then there's an off season where actually it goes throughout the winter, fall and winter as well, where there's some vendors that have things like meat, eggs, dairy, that are going to have produce all year round and keep selling at the market on Saturdays. But it's a smaller group of folks.
Yeah, much smaller group of folks. But like you said, though, you talk about poultry. There are egg vendors that have been there as well with fresh country eggs. And a lot of people would prefer fresh country eggs. So if you like those, sometimes very hard to get in the store anymore right now.
That's exactly right.
The only place to get them will be your Salem Farmers Market.
That's right. Yep. And so folks that are interested, they can contact me. They can call me at 729-2639. There's an email address they can email, which is farmersmarket, that's one word, at salemcommunitybetterment.com. Or they can Google SACPA, and there's a farmers market webpage, or find us through Facebook in Salem Farmers Market. And through any of those avenues, you can reach someone and ask questions or fill out an application.
I always find it very interesting. I think people really, if you want to be a vendor, I'd walk up there this Saturday or get in there and just see who the vendors are. Talk to them about their different products that they have. They love to tell you how they grew them, how they designed them, what they did. And that's one of the neat things I always liked about farmers markets. Whether I was in St. Louis, down at Soulard or wherever, which is just, huge, people love to tell you about their product. So let them give you the chance. Like I said, I've visited with Tom Haynes about his honey, and he would tell me how long it took him to get it and how many hives there were out and how the weather has hurt this or hurt that or helped this or helped that. And it's interesting to see how much work goes into a lot of the products that are at our farmers market that you may not even be aware of. And I think that's what makes them special.
That's right. I mean, there's really some folks that have a lot of knowledge there in the plants they grow and what they produce. And so they're always happy to talk about what they're doing and the things they're selling or how to prepare different recipes with the different produce. And so that's a lot of what goes on at the market is people just talking with each other and sharing information.
And I'm sure some of those vendors can tell you they may not have some product right there at this Saturday's market.
Right.
what they're planning on having in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks as the season progresses, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, with our Salem Community Garden that we've been doing now for many years, and we have some nice master gardeners here in town that can help you. A lot of those master gardeners end up at the farmers market because they really enjoy what they're doing. So if you have questions about different things, maybe you would like to start growing on your own, and you might be a future vendor somewhere down the road at our farmers market. Maybe right now you're just getting started. Maybe you just moved into town, don't really know who to turn to. Farmers Market's one great place to go. The community garden, they have actually a workshop on Tuesday night here that you can get over there and meet some of those great people. They're going to have, I think it's called Weed Warriors. So they're going to start telling you how to eradicate the weeds out of your garden. But with all the information that you have locally, Mike, there are some great gardeners here that can teach you how to maximize the amount of product that you can grow on your property.
That's right. There are, and there's several different organizations to help with that.
So it all works hand in hand, and so the more product that we have, the more vendors we have, and then the more diverse selection that the people have to choose from right here locally.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at the farmers market every Saturday?
Yep, we're at the farmers market every Saturday, and
Are you a vendor?
yes, I am a vendor. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
good. I didn't know, so I wanted
Yep.
to see.
Yeah, we have beef and lamb and mushrooms, and we'll have a good crop of elderberries this year, and
All right. Oh, man.
honey and eggs. And so, although right now we don't have much honey, and
Not yet.
so,
Hoping, right?
yeah, we're hoping for a good year. Last year was a really tough year on the honey producers in the local area with the weather, and so we're hoping for a better year and a lot of a good crop of local honey.
You know, and the way the year started out this year, obviously wet and then getting very cold, right as soon as you start to get some blossoms or blooms, boy, you get hit with that 33, 34 degree temperature, and they kind of go dormant for a short period of time, don't they?
They do. Yep. One thing we are seeing this year is a lot of good white and red clover in the pastures, and so
Yes.
that's good for the bees and good for the cattlemen, and so that's nice to see this year.
Bees like clover.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people don't realize how important the weather really is to your crops and things of that nature. And, you know, they may not be affected by, 34 degrees in the morning, or maybe they just have to run out to their vehicle and run to work. But, when it comes to your produce and things, the way the weather goes, and right now we're in that, Darrell always said, never cry about rain because you're somewhere down the road, you're going to need it. And we're getting to that point now that we're going to need it pretty soon. And there's not much out there in sight. Maybe a sporadic shower here and there, but it's very important for people to understand that farmers, they live and die by those daily changes that we have in the weather. It's out of their control, but you guys do a tremendous job of doing the best you can and getting the most crop you can out of the weather situation you're faced with.
That's right. And with these last 2 weeks of hot weather, we'll probably see a transition of produce at the farmers market, moving over from the cold weather produce have kind of started to bolt and try and put up seed, and so we're kind of in that transition period between the cold weather spring and then the summer vegetables. So,
Where does your farthest vendor come from for our local market? Do you know off the top of your head?
Actually, I don't know that off the top of my head. There's some that are 20 or 30 miles up Highway 19, and so. I think most are within about a 20-mile radius is about the furthest.
But any vendor's welcome to come and do it. You can be from 50 miles away if you want to come.
Yeah, yep.
How many vendors could you accommodate down there, roughly? I was just curious.
Under the pavilion, we have this nice covered pavilion that keeps off the sun and rain. We can fit 22 in there.
Good.
That maxes out the capacity. And then there's areas along the grass where if people have canopies or wanted to set up there for overflow, that we could accommodate more. So if need be, we could probably do 30 or 40 vendors if we got that big.
Good.
It's a great place to go, and if you really want some fresh veggies, I'm telling you what, you just can't beat Farmers Market, and it's grown right here locally. And you're helping out our vendors too. You know, the people say, well, they're up there and they'll sell out every Saturday. That's not always the case. You're not going to sell it every Saturday. Obviously, weather conditions going to be pretty warm this Saturday. We know that. But if you want to get up there early before the heat of the day really kicks in, because those vendors are up there, they're working hard, and they would like to. They bring a full truck in. They don't want to take that truck back. They want to get all that sold, and let me tell you, you want some good fresh vegetables. You want some good fresh meat, good fresh poultry. You want those eggs. I'm telling you what, the only place you're going to get those right now, especially with the crunch in food right now, Mike, is their farmers markets, aren't you?
That's right. With some of the supply chain problems we're seeing across the nation and internationally, the more we can produce locally and consume locally, the better off we'll be in terms of our regional and local food security.
And our people grow their obviously the produce that they show here all locally in Dent County soil. Well, you know that you get some, I know years ago, lettuce from Arizona came from greenhouses, things of that nature. Not even real sunshine. They never even see the sun. They grow it inside. There's a different taste when you have something that's grown in your local area, and I can't explain it. You can just taste it. The tomatoes, plumper, richer, fuller, more juicy. The lettuce is crisper. The radishes are crunchier. I mean, call it what you will, but when you get that right out of the ground taste, Mike, there's a whole different atmosphere to it and much more nutritious, right?
That's right. I mean, what's usually in the grocery store are varieties that they can grow in very large quantities that will ship well and stand up to shipping and still look okay, after a couple weeks of that logistics process. But that doesn't mean they've selected for the best flavorful produce or the healthiest produce. And so when it's local and you don't have that long supply chain the fruit needs to survive through or vegetables need to survive through, people can select for things that taste the best or are particularly healthy.
Let me tell you, one of my favorite meals is bacon and tomato sandwiches. Okay, you just can't beat a BLT. And I'm going to tell you, if you're going to have a bacon and tomato sandwich, you need a good homegrown tomato.
That's right.
That's the real. The others, they're passable and you can live with it. That's all you got. But good homegrown tomatoes are great. What is the actual address for the farmers market? You know what?
It's 200 South Main Street.
200.
And it sits back, behind the old visitor center building, so you can miss it if you aren't paying attention. But it's there next to the fire station.
For somebody out of town, not familiar with the area, whatever, it might be listening, whatever. If you're on 19, you go by the Dick County Fire Protection District. Dick County Firehouse is pretty noticeable there on the one by the S curves, and just on the hill above it is the farmers market and
that's correct.
Visitor Center and the old visitor center and the Cultural Resource Center building. So. Yeah, that's where they need to go.
Right, and there's parking on both sides of the Ozark Natural Cultural Resource Center that you can go and attend the farmers markets. And please don't block the drives. Some people do tend to like to park. I always call it conky bonker. They just kind of pull in. I guess I'll park here. They're kind of in the way a little bit. But remember, there's other people coming through, and they like to try and circle that drive around the ONCRC so they can get out. So please do not block the drives. But there is a lot of parking around the Ozark Natural Cultural Resource Center for the farmers market. Well worth the time.
That's right. And one of the things we've done this year with parking is we've added 3 parking spots with parking curbs right at the pavilion where farmers used to park there and set up and stay parked there, but we've cleared those 3 spots out for customers that might come and not be able to walk as far or just being a quick stop to pick things up to add that convenience for the customers coming into the market.
So you have an opportunity to check this out, 7:30 every Saturday morning. Go on by. You're going to see them setting up a lot earlier than that. What time do you get there, Mike? Yeah,
I usually get there about 6:45, and usually when I get there at 6:45, there's some people that are already all
there.
set up.
Yeah.
And so
I've gone by there at a couple of years back. I actually went by about 6 o'clock, and somebody was just pulling in, getting set up at 6. They want their displays just right, and these farmers, they're very particular how they display their vegetables and different items. They want them to look, well, obviously as appetizing as possible, but number 2, they want you to be able to see what they grow and how well that they grow it, because this is some excellent food that you're going to buy locally. You may pay just a hair bit more than the grocery store in some cases, but you know what?
Maybe not.
But I said maybe not in some cases, but maybe not, and you're going to get a much more nutritious product when you come to buying something fresh and local grown right here in Dunn County. There's no doubt about it. And you're supporting local economy. That's the biggest thing.
That's right. So, yeah, we'd love to see you come out and meet the farmers and get some good produce.
So how long have you been working as director, serving in this?
Just this year. Yeah. And Tom Haynes kind of drafted me into this position. I wasn't planning on it, but, happy to be able to, help out and do my part.
Tom Haynes drafts a lot of people into things.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
he's very good at that. You have to watch out for Tom.
Yeah, and you'll say yes, and you don't even know what you said yes to. He's kind of tricky. One of the things it just came to my mind, it kind of just ran off with me here just a second ago. How many people do you have that you see on a regular basis that come in, or maybe you have a standing order for because you know they're going to come in? I know a lot of people do that. Matter of fact, there's a gentleman up there that had Country Fresh Eggs. I know every Saturday this person came and got 4 dozen. So he always set 4 dozen aside for him. It's nice when you have repeat customers, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, that's probably Mr. Good, and he has his repeat customers, and they sell out quick. So he sets those aside, and people come every Saturday and get their eggs. The other vendor that really operates that way is the Mast Family Creamery. Is they have raw milk. But to buy that raw milk, you have to order it ahead of time. And so to meet the health regulations. And so they have a list of people that have ordered raw milk ahead of time. They also do, yogurt and butter and baked goods and things. But in terms of the raw milk, that's something you have to get on the order list for, and then you can come pick it up at the market.
So as you mentioned, the regulations, farmers markets, it's just not free to go out there and do whatever you want to do. You still have to abide by the regulations that are set forth for healthy food standards, don't you?
That's right. We have the Dent County Health Regulation and Health Department, and they kind of administer what the state health regulations are in terms of food production and farmers market, and all of our vendors have to pledge that they meet those requirements.
Very good. Now, there is usually some programs that come up that might help some people with farmers markets. It's usually a little discount program for seniors that they can apply for. I think it's $25 or $20. They get some certificate. Doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah, I think it's actually $50.
$50
the
now,
senior
okay.
food program, and the state of Missouri runs that, and it can be learned about through several senior centers here locally. I won't have their names off the top of my head.
Jody Schaefer over at Senior Center. You
Okay.
can call her.
Okay.
729-2373. I'll help you with the number.
Thank you, Stan. So yeah, and then there's a number of vendors that participate in that, and those seniors that apply to that, they get $50 in what look like checks that they can spend in $5 increments on produce at the farmers market from vendors that are set up to accept those.
Right, and if you are a senior citizen and you don't walk very well, you can have what they call an agent do that for you. They can actually go shopping for you, and they can get those certificates. So even if they're not a senior, say it's your daughter or your son or whatever, they're getting it for you. You apply, they can actually be your agent and go get that and use those certificates, which I think is a great program because there are a lot of people who may be challenged to get out on those days where it's super hot that they just can't get out.
That's right. Yeah, that's a neat program, and we're hoping it can grow through both, more vendors and more people in the community taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and I think Aging Best is the local agency. If you want to do it through here, that's the one who helps run our Salem Senior Center. So again, they would have much more information, and they have a website, and I think it's agingbest.com or .org. If you type in Aging Best, you'll find it in Google. But if you just want to call Jody Schaefer, come Monday, 729-2373 is the number, and she can get you in touch with the right people and apply for those, because really, why not take the $50? If you're a senior, take that money and then buy some fresh produce. Why wouldn't you want to do that? That sounds just like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, that's a great program. So.
Yep.
Anything else special about our farmers market that you can pass on to us?
No, I think that's about all I have.
Okay,
So,
very good. Well, Mike, we really appreciate you coming in and giving us some details. If anybody has any questions about the farmers market or about becoming a vendor, they can contact you.
that's right. I can be contacted at 729-2639, or you can Google through and find the SACPA web page, or find us through Facebook.
So the farmers market is operated under the umbrella of SACPA. Is that correct?
That's right. SACPA, the Salem Area Community Betterment Association, they have a number of activities or organizations under that umbrella. So they have the Art Center and ONCRC and Love Thy Neighbor, where they've done some remodeling and work on several local houses that
Been a
needed
busy time, hasn't it?
Yeah, the toy drive, and so the SACPA is doing quite a few activities, and Farmers Market is one of those activities under their umbrella.
It's a great organization, and I love that they give back to our community, which is what it's all about.
All volunteers.
All volunteers.
as usual.
Well, Dunn County is common for volunteers. We have a lot of them around.
You don't get paid very much for being the director of the farmers market.
No, you don't. Nope. At least not monetarily.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. Again, Mike, thanks for coming in, spending some time with us. And again, if you have any questions about the farmers market, feel free to give Mike a call or just stop by. I always find it best to stop by. Talk to the different vendors down there. Talk to different farmers. Talk to the people that are coming, that you see every week that are coming to the farmers market. They may get something different every time they show up, but like Mike was talking about, there's a lot of standing orders out there too, that I want to get my tomatoes from this one. I want to get my eggs from this vendor. I want to get my raw milk from this one. If you have that need or you have that desire to want to find out more, farmers market tomorrow morning, 7:30. Show on up and talk to these great people. They do a lot of hard work, and they would love to hear from you. Get your comments back on the produce that they grow.
That's right. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for having me on, Stan, and
Appreciate
Darrell.
it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for letting me take some of your time.
No problem. Good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in. Mike Dunn.
You're welcome to stay around for the rest of it. We're going to breeze through a little bit here, but
We're going to talk about county business. He's all excited about that now. I don't blame him. I'm always excited about it. It's very good. So, Darrell, you all tighten back up there?
I think
as
so.
Good as you can.
I think so. Tight enough.
Right.
All right.
Very good. Well,
Been a busy time, Stan.
it has been a busy time. It's a busy morning here right before you got here. And you
Yeah.
were busy this morning, too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
But
absolutely insane.
Lots going on.
There is a lot going on. Okay, so I know that you've got a couple of things. I'm just going to start with yesterday because a couple of big things kind of happened. Hospital came back in needing a few more ARPA funds for their
Right.
transformer. They put out bids to get that done, and obviously, as we all know, Darrell, prices of anything don't stay the same for more than 10 days.
No. It's a tough, strange time of the year, or strange period we're in right now as far as trying to get work done and bids and so forth and so on. But yes, just to back up a little bit, the hospital found that they were in desperate need of really revamping and rebuilding their electrical, and they were needing electrical system upgrade, and it's going to be very expensive. So we visited with them, and we made available $200,000 to help with that. At the time, thought that would be enough, along with what Intercounty was going to help on the engineering side and equipment side. They've put it out for bid and found to get the whole job done and done right the bids come in much higher. So Todd Workman, who is the Salem Memorial Hospital Facility Director, came in and visited with the commission about it and was asking for an additional $75,000 in addition to the $200,000. So the commission yesterday did approve making an additional $75,000 available through the ARPA funds that we have for that. We're not doing a wholesale expending of all the ARPA funds as we've talked about before, because we're still holding off waiting to see what this Department of Revenue thing does, and we'll be having to use some of those ARPA funds maybe to backfill some loss of revenue, because one thing ARPA could be used for was loss of revenue. But at any rate, until then, though, we know there's a few things that we can do and help with, and this is one of them right here that we went ahead and approved an additional $75,000.
So a lot of things
that.
that couldn't be done with the county last year, obviously because of the sales tax debacle, that really tightened your budget to virtually nil. You really couldn't do much of anything. A few of those funds have come into play now to get some much needed things that the county actually did need. One of those was a new vehicle for the sheriff's department, not your everyday normal vehicle for the
Right.
sheriff's department, a nice little Polaris.
Right. No,
sorry.
actually, it's a Can-Am.
Right, I'm sorry, you got the
The
Can-Am,
sheriff's
that's
department. We've got a vast amount of national forest land in the county. In the southern part, we have the Ozark National Scenic Riverways. Starts in Dent County. Periodically, the sheriff's department gets called in for missing persons, somebody lost. And we've got a lot of miles of roads and trails that are virtually inaccessible by a normal vehicle. They've, in the past, for a while, there was a year that Cowtown, USA, the Can-Am folks had a program where they would loan a UTV to law enforcement agencies around. And so we had one for a year and got put to good use. We went ahead and bought at that time a trailer that it could be loaded on and hauled. We do have a building and a place to store one. But that program just lasted for a year. And then with COVID comes along and that program was over. So we found we didn't have one, and periodically that is just something that they need. And I don't know if folks will remember, but just a few years ago, we had an incident in a neighboring county where a man and his two sons went on a day hike back in the forest, and
Temperatures in the 70s.
it was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And it was going to be an all-day long hike, but in the middle of the day, the weather turned, a front come through, the weather turned really cold, poured down rain, and basically, later that afternoon, evening, the man he didn't show up back at camp to his wife, was reported missing. And anyway, they really were hamstrung, from what I've heard, on what how the search and rescue thing carried out. It was a very difficult deal. And at any rate, long story short, the sad story is the man and his two sons were found dead from exposure the next day. And anything, I don't know that a vehicle or whatever could have maybe prevented that, but the agencies there were hamstrung with what they had as far as capability to effectively get the manpower out there to have a better outcome. And so we've thought about that. We've talked about it. ARPA funds we could use for something like that. So we put out for bid about 3 weeks ago for a UTV for the sheriff's department to have. And when they get called out, and it can be search and rescue, it could be a manhunt sometimes where somebody has escaped and they're hiding out somewhere, and they've got to get back in the woolly booger parts of the county and areas and go find them. And at any rate, so we did put it out, and we did get those bids back in, and the lowest bid was for a Can-Am 6-passenger. I forget what it is, Can-Am 6-passenger. HDX9 or something, I don't know, but it's set up with the cab on it and heat and an all-weather type thing, winch on it, the whole bit, so that they can hopefully, and the sheriff is getting it outfitted with radios and so forth now, and so it can be ready. And we've got, as I said, we've got a place to keep it stored inside on a trailer. It can be deployed very quickly. And could literally mean the difference between life and death if they can get 4 or 5 officers back into an area to effect a better search and so on. And a few years ago we bought a drone that has come in very handy. With a camera and that they can access to see into areas that are tough, maybe even dangerous to see into in some cases. So things like that we can do to support emergency responders, support law enforcement, we're going to do. We always have. I've been proud to be able to do whatever I can from my position to help with law enforcement and emergency response. And so we just felt that was something pretty important to do. So we did get that approved, and it actually has been delivered. Well, the sheriff went over and picked it up, and it is here now.
Did you see it yesterday?
Did not know. Have not physically laid eyes on it since it got here. I actually did see it over at Cuba beforehand. I was over there buying a used UTV myself and seen the vehicle there, and it's quite the rig. And most people look at those as being kind of a toy or recreational vehicle, which they are. But this wasn't bought to be a toy or a recreational vehicle, but another tool and an asset that can be used for emergency response and law enforcement to accomplish their jobs. So we're glad we could get that done. That was and again, we took the lowest bid. It was almost $2,000 less than the other bids, but the lowest bid for that vehicle from Cowtown, and it was $32,500. So if anybody's bought one, you know that vehicle's pretty well decked out with everything you could get on one like that to help it be able to do what we need it to do.
It's a nice asset for the county.
Yep, and it'll last. It came along. We specified in the deal that we wanted at least a 5-year full service agreement, oil changes, everything included in that, free lifetime battery replacement, and just different things, so that at least it'd be as little additional cost going years out. And again, we can keep it housed inside. It should last for many, many, many years. They run these things thousands of miles, and they probably won't put 1,000 miles a year on this machine, probably 500, but those miles they do put on it would be very important miles.
Sure, absolutely.
So, other than the parade, I expect they may drag it out to run it in the parades so they can see that they're pretty proud of it.
Well,
I think,
it's a local parade. It won't go that many more miles.
Yeah, it won't go very many miles on that either. So anyway, but was glad we was able to do that, and so.
Very good.
Anyway, but you're talking about bids, okay?
I am talking about bids.
If I could segue into road and bridge, road and bridge, we've been doing regular. We've had storms. They've removed a lot of trees and limbs. Had some minor road damage I've had to repair, but one interesting aspect, most years we put out to do somewhere around $250,000 or so of chip and seal overlay of existing chip and seal road.
Right.
Put that out for bid, and for the first time this year, we didn't get a single bid back for companies to do any chip and seal. So we advertised it. We called. They let the regular companies that generally do it, and they're good sized companies. Blevins Asphalt down the other side of Springfield done it last year, and do West NB West Paving over at Cuba has done it in the past, and they knew, but they all indicated they were covered up. And this year MoDOT has more funds available. They've just got extra funds. They're doing a lot more work. There's just a lot of work out there. And they all said they were just covered up this summer, and they just couldn't bid it. And, and I really think part of the backstory is it's hard for them to bid that stuff, for one thing, because the price of oil is so hard for them to tie down. So that was disappointing. But so the associate commissioners did get on the phone, called some more companies to see if they would bid, if we put it back out for bid. So we did vote to go ahead and put that back out for bid again, and those bids again for doing chip and seal will be due back in 10 a.m. July 7th, and and I think we'll have some bids on that, and we'll see how that goes, see how it compares with what we had budgeted. We may have to make some adjustments in that some way somehow, but
I guarantee you what you had budgeted is not going to get what you thought was going to get done.
No, we
when
really
you
need
initially put that budget together.
Yeah, and people may not realize we really need to do at least 5, 6, or 7 miles of chip and seal, resealing, recoating existing chip and seal roads every year, just to maintain those roads. If we don't do at least 5, if we do 5 or 6, 7 miles every year, then that keeps us on a rotation with the roads we got. If you don't do them at least every 5 or 6 years, those roads will break apart, fall apart, and they're just not
right back to gravel
at some point. So we have to get in and redo those every few years, or it falls apart. And that's one reason then why the commission's always a little hesitant to do new chip and seal, because every time you've done an extra mile of chip and seal, then you basically have added about, under the old prices, $6,000 or $7,000 a year of maintenance costs just for that, to keep those roads up to date. So it'll run, has been running around $35,000 a mile to do a chip and seal project. So I expect it's going to be considerably higher.
They hear a lot about chip and seal repair, Darrell, with the ultimate paving material and things of that nature, and that is great. But that's a temporary fix.
Right, and it's just for a small area. We can't use the ultimate paving material on the entire road. That'd really break the budget. So anyway, but that's hopefully we'll get some bids back, and we can get another pretty good stretch of chip and seal roads overlaid, so on. So
very good.
Anyway,
what else about bids? Come on.
What else?
You're on a roll, man.
I don't remember now.
Well, no, you had a pre-bid.
Well,
meeting.
we got Since you mentioned that, we have put out for bids to do some renovation work on the old courthouse exterior, And they did have a pre-bid meeting this past Wednesday. We had scheduled to open bids for that courthouse renovation this coming Wednesday. It was just going to be just to open the bids. Corky Stack at Stack and Associates in St. James is handling the design and the work on that for us. We were going to open those bids on Wednesday and give him a chance to look those bids over and come back on Thursday with a recommendation bid to accept. But he had some questions from contractors, and he had some very good contractors interested in bidding the project, but he had some questions raised about various aspects of it that he needed to research and get better answers to. So we have put that bid opening off to the following Wednesday, July 29th. I believe that'd be at 10 a.m. And that's all. We'll just have a short special commission meeting to open the bids and let Corky Stack take those back and review them and come back to us with a recommendation to accept, and so we can get on down the road and start getting some of that work done on the old courthouse. Beautiful old building. We want to keep it that way, but it needs some work done on it.
Needs TLC.
Yes,
A
absolutely.
lot of TLC.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So-
like all of us, you know.
We all need a little TLC.
Yeah.
Well,
So anyway,
I can't always say you get TLC everywhere you go, but you will.
Yeah.
You did attend a solid waste management district full council meeting the other day, and so you were graciously reelected as vice chair.
there you go. Yeah, there've been a lot of meetings, and it seems to be the story of my life. But anyway, one of them was the Ozark River Solid Waste Management District full council meeting, and that's an annual deal that we have to do. I'm on the executive board as vice chair, and we meet several times during the year. But the full council meets, when the full council meets, that means there's representatives from the cities as well as the counties and so forth are there. Gary Larson and I were there representing Dent County. Ray Walden was in on that meeting via Zoom. He had some other meetings he had to get to quickly when that meeting was over. So appreciate Ray participating, and we did have elections. I was reelected as vice chair of the Solid Waste Management District. Brady Wilson from over at Rolla, who's been chairman for some time now too, was reelected chairman.
We've had on a couple times.
Right. Brady's in charge of the Rolla Recycling Center, does a great job there and does a great job chair, and I was glad Brady was willing to take that job again. And sometimes he can't make it, so I'll fill in, but we get a lot of good things
But
done.
your update on some of the work that's being done that you have awarded grants to, correct?
Right. We go over a multitude of things over the course of that thing, and grant updates. Some grants we have to go ahead and extend the deadline for that grant to be completed, and so on. And one of the big grants we got here last year that I was very happy to get was, I think it was $47,000 grant for the sheltered workshop that was going to basically help the sheltered workshop with cover salaries and expenses. They were hit terribly hard by COVID and through various reduction in federal support and so on. So I was real happy to be able to get them that grant. That was probably the largest single grant that I know it was the largest grant any county facility got last year. So, but it's important stuff, and they do they're big time players in this recycling thing for our area here. So was glad to be able. They've gotten some grants before, I think, for a shredder or maybe for a compactor, I think, and things. So do a great job over there. So was glad to get that done, and I'm real proud and happy with some of the things we've been able to get done through the Solid Waste Management District grants deal. And again, as we've talked about before, that's all funded through tipping fees that waste haulers have to pay when they go to the landfill. That goes to the state and then comes back down to the counties through the Solid Waste Management Districts and through that grant process. And that's quite a process in its own. We'll spend one day reviewing all the grants here in September, and then in a week or two later we'll get back together, and based on the reviewing of the grants and we score them, then we'll have to divvy up the money, because there's usually about twice as much money requested in those grants as we have dollars available. So that's kind of how that works. So anyway, that was just one of the meetings. Also, other meetings at MRPC I had was Transportation Advisory Committee, and we discussed at length the State Transportation Improvement Program. It is out for review, has been out for a while. Today's the last day to comment on that STIP. I would mention that this is the largest STIP that has ever been put out. It's the 5-year plan for what they're going to do. We do have some projects here in Dent County that are on that STIP. And one of those is actually scheduled for a replacement of the Highway 19 bridge over Gladden Creek, south of Salem. on Highway 19. It
Right.
is scheduled, I
Next
believe,
year.
about May or something like that for that for that ball to start rolling to replace that bridge. That's one that I've worked on to try to get attention and focus on. That we've been lucky of no major accidents that I know of on the bridge itself, but it's a pretty tough deal. And with it, there's a lot of increased traffic on 19 South all the time with the Echo Bluff and the tourism thing that has picked up. So that bridge is scheduled for replacement now, and it is on the STIP, which means basically they are allocating funding and they're going to move forward with it. So you can look for work progress to start on that in probably about May of 23.
You had an update on the Highway 72 paving project. Was supposed to start Monday.
Right,
I
but
think it's been delayed.
it may, I guess so, but at any rate, yeah, it is. But they are going to do a complete repave of Highway 72 between Salem and Rolla. Originally scheduled to start this Monday, probably delayed for some time. I know MoDOT indicated they as well are having major supply chain issues with things. I don't know if that's what's making the delay, but at any rate, it is going to happen. It sounds like you've got a news release that you've seen since I have. But at any rate. You've probably seen the signs out there, and some of them are laid over and stuff, but they are warning people, get ready, there is construction and things expected. So what have you got on that?
Well,
the
I
most recent?
just on a step that the Highway 119 bridge rehab over Pigeon Creek, and I know that's also coming up next year.
That's on 32.
Yeah.
Or maybe
No, it's
119.
119. No, it's a Pigeon Creek one that was put in there.
Yeah,
And then the
years
highway,
ago.
both of those bridges, by the way, will be next year.
Yeah.
And then the Spring Creek Bridge on Highway 19 will be in 2027.
Right.
What they're looking
That's
at
right here
now.
at the edge of town.
And they're doing a bridge improvement over Dry Creek on Route B in 2026. Also, Route K from Highway 19 to Route KK in 2025 will have pavement improvements done on that and be redone, as will Route J through town.
Right.
Highway 72 to 32. And then also, for those who do a lot of traveling to the mine and may go through Highway 49, that will be done in 2025. Pavement improvements there from 19 all the way to 32. That's a long trek on Highway 49, but that's going to be redone as well.
This is all current projects. Some of that on the STIP, some of it not necessarily on the STIP. It's just on current.
These are all suggested,
works.
and that's why it's a draft step.
Right.
It's not
So,
totally
yep.
approved. But,
But today's the last day to comment on those.
But today is the last day. And you just click on modot.org, and you can click the STIP program's right in the middle of the page.
Oh, yeah.
Just click on it, and then it has a subject, a little line when you go to that link. It just says make comments here.
Another project that actually is included in the STIP. It's not doesn't mean it has money allocated for it, but it's for scoping now, and is actually in writing, and you can see that MoDOT is focused on it, and they're doing scoping work for replacement of the low water crossing on Highway TT down in Sligo on Crooked Creek to replace it. There's a low water crossing. A man and his grandson became stranded on the bridge in high water, and the little boy, a 6-year-old, lost his life there here a little over a year ago. And very sad deal, and so that's another one I focused on a good bit with our Transportation Advisory Committee, and so we now have MoDOT doing the scoping work, and which is the initial work that has to be done when a bridge is going to be replaced. So they're looking at that engineering.
You're actually looking at a bridge, not a low water crossing now.
Right, they would be replacing that with a full-fledged bridge.
Yeah.
Right, so anyway, a lot of good things coming out of that. Also, after the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, had a series of other meetings that afternoon and evening. We had Public Housing Authority Board meeting, and actually I was elected vice chairman of that board as well. And the Public Housing Authority is the organization that oversees the HUD housing program in all the counties in our region. We also I'm chairman of the Merrimack Regional Planning Commission External Relations Committee, and we're working on planning for the MRPC annual dinner. It will be October 13th this year at the Vienna Knights of Columbus Hall in Vienna, so folks be thinking about that. I think that kind of catches us up right now as far as on some meetings. I did want to mention, too, the commission at yesterday's meeting, we did approve a quitclaim deed and signed that for a little small piece of old railroad right-of-way north of town along Highway 19. So we got that signed and notarized and forwarded on to take care of that little issue.
Also, you signed an agreement for your caucus.
Right, for the Workforce Development Board caucus. They have an agreement a new agreement that has been put together, includes provisions for liability insurance and some things like that. So the commission, we did review that and got that signed. I do have a Workforce Development Board caucus board meeting and this coming Wednesday at Jeff City that I will be attending, and I'll take that with me. They need that back then. Every presiding commissioner of all the counties sign those when they approve of those. So appreciated being able to get that done. We had sales tax
We did.
come in, and treasurer brought that information into us. Our general revenue and law enforcement sales tax are both up about $3,300 over June of last year. The road and bridge fund up about $1,000 over June of last year, and the two jail funds up about $2,100 over June of last year. So sales tax moving along very well. And by June of last year, we were back to regular sales tax collections after the Department of Revenue mess. So we're back to being able to at least make some accurate comparisons for a month compared to last month. Year to date doesn't mean anything because of that Department of Revenue deal, but it looks good. Looks good though for the year compared to previous years.
But wouldn't it be interesting to find out? Now we're going through sales tax dollars, but there's a lot of product, and we're talking about limitation on being able to get products of the availability of them, Darrell. That how many products, how much more in sales tax money we'd have if products could actually be shipped to that county.
If we had normal supply chain stuff. But
I mean,
but
it
we
would
don't.
be interesting to see what we have lost because of that.
Yep, you're right. Sure would.
So
Anyway,
another thing that happened at the commission meeting was that Dunn County Collector came in, Shannon Van Kirk, and I want to remind everybody you have to have your 2000 and I believe it's 19 sales property taxes paid by June 30th. Otherwise, you'll have to pay 2019, 20, and 21 in full before they go to the courthouse steps.
right. Yeah, we got a number of deadlines here. I'll just share with you. On June 30th, the collector did want to remind everybody that if taxes hadn't been paid, the 2019 taxes at least have to be paid by June 30th to avoid being added on the list to sell at the courthouse steps, and an additional $25 fee be added as well. So if they want to avoid that, they need to come in and get those taken care of by June the 30th.
But after that date, you got to pay all 3 years.
That's right. It's all due back then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're all due.
Right.
But to avoid it selling at the courthouse steps, they'll all have to be paid and caught up.
So
That's by statute. So the collector wanted to remind folks of that.
And Darrell, the caveat about that is that after June 30th, beginning July 1st, you can't pay by check. You'll have to pay by cash or a cashier's check or money order, and you have to go to the collector's office that day to get the total due because there's interest added every day.
Changes every day.
So you have to go and get that. Then
And
you have
again,
to go,
that's by statute.
that's by
not,
statute. So I just want to remind people to save you a lot of extra running around and trying to get it done. If you do still owe taxes for 2019, just get on down. You can write a check still, take care of that, get them paid off, and then you don't have to worry about it. You got another whole year to catch up on your taxes. But if you don't, by June 30th, they will be put on the list to be sold on the courthouse steps. And that can be very traumatic. We don't want anybody to go through that.
No. We don't want that to happen to anybody. So anyway, June 30th is the deadline for that. June 30th is also the deadline for folks to renew their annual liquor license in the county clerk's office. So folks need to keep that in mind. That's June 30th. June 21st is the first day that absentee voting begins in the courthouse for the August 2nd election. It's hard to believe we're right on top of that. And then July the 6th is the last day for folks to register to vote for the August 2nd election. So if you've moved or whatever, or if you moved in from outside the area, we want you to vote. And so please come into the county clerk's office and get registered to vote. July 6th will be the last day for that.
Or if you're 18, just turned 18 and you haven't registered yet.
Right, there you go. That's right. So anyway, do want to mention also that Salem-Dink County Economic Development Director Sally Burbridge was in earlier. Did we talk about that at the last meeting? I don't think
we did on the 3rd.
Right, she was in. She was in a little later this time, yeah. So she come in and updated us as she does every month on what's happening, progress on economic development, and working on getting the certified site ready out in the industrial park. And so it's been totally cleared and everything. Really just kind of waiting to be seeded down right now, to get it seeded to grass. And folks may not realize this significance of having that site, but if we'd have a large entity interested in locating here, wanting to build, having what is called a certified site ready, it's significant with the state in that they then will help advertise and promote that area, because you can quickly then you have utilities, infrastructure in place and ready for whatever the need might be for an entity. So if you're going to be serious about it, then that's one of the things you need to do, is have a certified site ready for business to be able to build on or what have you. So Sally's been working on that and has it. It's going to be good.
Looks a lot different out there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kind of looks a little bit bare. But,
So-
one of the things, and I know people have asked this question, Darrell, is like, well, why are we going through all that expense to get that done? Why can't they just take and retrofit a building that already exists? Well,
Many
and
times they
sometimes-
just don't fit for what somebody
Exactly,
wants
but
at
also
all.
the cost to retrofit anymore to put in, if it's one of the old warehouse buildings, they did not have internet back then. They may not have the right
Yeah.
electric systems in. You're not going to be prepared for today's technology, that's for sure. And to retrofit that building may cost you more than having a certified site ready to go, where they can come in, slap up some walls and get things up and be ready to go in maybe a month and a half, 2 months, where retrofitting may take them 6 months to a year.
Right. Yeah. It just isn't plausible and feasible sometimes, and even just for the traffic flow for wherever it might be, might not fit. So there's just it's just a great asset to have a certified site that's ready and ready to go. So anyway, I do appreciate it.
She
And I
also
don't
gave
know, folks.
unemployment numbers, which showed still good, strong employment
Very
in
low.
Dade County. It was very low.
Unemployment in Dade County is very low. There's signs everywhere, people that are looking for help and some workers. So, our job picture in Dade County, I hear people all the time say, well, you need to do more. You got to do something to create jobs for these folks. Well, there's jobs out there, and we're very lucky to have as robust a job availability as we do. Now, they may not pay as much as what everybody'd like, obviously, and we get that. And, with the rising fuel costs and things, we're going to do everything we can to try to get some of these companies, if they want to locate. Obviously, we'd like to get some of them to locate here, and that's why at Dade County we work to cooperate with the city of Salem in having a good functioning Department of Economic Development. I sit on that committee that worked to identify. We met several times and interviewed candidates for an Economic Development Director position, and I and some other members strongly recommended Sally for this job, and she's doing a great job at it. And it's very important that we have somebody like her of her caliber working on economic development and chasing down. She chases down state leads and all kinds of leads all the time. But not only that, just trying to do anything she can to help local businesses even expand a little, or whatever they need to do to help them be more profitable. And then also, though, even working with the other communities and things in our region and in our area. Because, some of these businesses that come in have got to have at least either U.S. highway or interstate highway that they're going to operate on, which basically takes us completely out of the running. But if there's something that our Economic Development Director can do to help a business, say, locate in Texas County or in neighboring Phelps County or Crawford County, and that have good paying jobs, our people are more than happy to live here and drive there. If they can drive half an hour for 20 minutes to a good job with good pay and benefits, hey, that's okay too. If we can, sometimes whatever you can do to help another community get that thing in there, if they meet the criteria, then we need to be ready to help.
And economic development does not necessarily have to be right in your county.
No.
It can be in surrounding counties where it's going to affect your county because of the additional income that's going to come off of that business.
Economic development doesn't fit just in a little small box.
Mm-hmm.
It's a large work in progress all the time.
Right. And we all know, too, that sometimes when one business comes in, they may be followed by another. That if once they
Sure.
come in and a business finds, okay, hey, this is economically a good fit for us because they have this kind of workforce available, another company could come right in behind them and say, they know of these other people. Maybe they have a link to them in part of what their work is. And the next thing you know, you may have 2 or 3 businesses come in and develop things in the area, not necessarily all right next to each other, but in the area that complement each other. And that can help complement the workforce in creating better and higher paying jobs.
Well, it's just like folks might not realize sometimes. Think everybody understands McDonnell or that Boeing. I still try to call it McDonnell Douglas.
Yeah.
But Boeing now in St. Louis employs thousands, but not only do they employ thousands at the Boeing facilities themselves, but there are literally thousands that work at independent contracting businesses that contract for the various parts and pieces for stuff that Boeing then gets and then takes and brings. But that's a huge, huge industry that isn't just the employees there at the Boeing facility, but people in good jobs doing skilled work miles away, many of them right here in Missouri, a lot of them. It's a huge, huge impact on employees outside Boeing itself. Again, follow along, connected with things. So anyway, that's it.
It's like the auto industry, Darrell. I went to the plant up in Warrenton when Chevy first put it up there, and they don't manufacture the parts there. The parts all get shipped in. They take the parts and they manufacture the car.
Right.
So, yeah, there's some plant has to be making that other part.
There's seat manufacturers. There are various components that get
the radiators, the alternators are all made somewhere else, and then they're shipped there, and then they've got them all in stock. But
radiator hoses, belts.
You bet, everything different about those things. And so you have a number of different companies that survive off one, and that's really how America was strengthened years ago, because it's not a company, building their own design and that's it, and that's how cars actually got started. They made one car at a time. And that was one of the problems with making one car at a time, is you had to make each part for each car.
Yeah.
One at a time. And it took a long time to do it. Price was too high. And give credit to old Henry Ford. He said, what if we mass produce cars by having that company? I'll give that to Brother John. He makes just nothing but clutches. That's all he does. And this company makes nothing but this. Well, then they can concentrate on that, and they give us the parts, and we make the cars.
GM doesn't make the tires. GM doesn't make the wheels.
Nope.
That's all contracted, all of it. Yeah. Put it together. You'll see it'll say assembled at such and such place. That's where it's all put together. So
it'd be amazing to see where every one of those parts comes from. You got parts from China, and that's one of the reasons why we have a car shortage right now. The chips that they're waiting on. A lot of stuff's all still sitting out in Los Angeles on docks.
Yep.
So we're still waiting to have an influx of new vehicles.
So anyway, in regards to economic development, the county is really proud to be able to partner with the city and have a good person working on that all the time. And again, our unemployment numbers look really good. But we are constantly working to improve that aspect as far as jobs that would be available here. Maybe some people who do work in other counties could take some of these jobs, and we can get some of those industries located here. Along with broadband, another big one that we're constantly working on, and I look forward to seeing once the governor gets all the legislation signed, what for sure the states come up with, and try to get their. There's a gentleman named B.J. Tanksley who is working on that aspect of broadband development, and get him down here and let's see what we can get out of that and get done. There's a lot of money out there for that kind of work. So anyway, I want to mention too, we did approve for the 4th of July fundraiser for the Salem High School Chamber Singers, and they're planning a trip to Orlando, Florida with about 18 students. So Amber Pryor came in to make that request if they could use the courthouse square, somewhere on the square, for a fundraiser. I think making snow cones maybe or something, and to raise a little money to help cover the kids' trip to Florida. So was very happy to do that.
If it's as hot as it's been, Darrell, they should make a lot of money.
Snow cones would sell like crazy if you had a big crowd up there today. So anyway, I do want to mention also the Board of Equalization hearings will be held starting July the 18th. At 1 o'clock. So if somebody, if they have an issue with the assessment of their property, so on, and they first need to talk to the assessor, Jamie Holmeyer, and visit about why that is and what all's in play with that. See if they can arrive at agreement on that. Because really that conversation needs to go to the assessor's office first. If they're not able to come to agreement, then by statute they have the right to come to Board of Equalization hearing and lay their argument out. Those hearings will be by appointment, and they start at 1 o'clock on July 18th. That's a Monday, and so and each person, they need to, as I said, have that visit with the assessor and then get everything in order, documented, and so on, because those will be 15-minute appointments to hear what the issue is and so on. The Board of Equalization, for those who don't know, is actually made up of the 3 commissioners. 2 members sit on the commission who are familiar with real estate, appointed by the commission. The county surveyor sits on the Board of Equalization, and the assessor sits in on it. It's not a voting member. The voting members are the 3 members of the commission, 2 community members, and the surveyor. And then the county clerk sits in on the commission or on the Board of Equalization meetings to record the hearings. So Board of Equalization, July the 18th. I want to mention too that the courthouse will be closed this coming Monday in observance of the state Juneteenth holiday.
Okay. Very good. Now, so remember, if you're going to do the Board of Equalization, please contact the assessor, as Darrell's talking about, but find out what you need to go in and present to try and fight your case.
We'll see if the issue can be resolved.
Sure,
many
right.
times, those issues can be resolved with some communication
Exactly.
about what's on there, what's not property that they don't think is right, why, so on, and the assessor will send somebody out to look it over and see. Many times they can be resolved.
Sure,
without
exactly,
coming to
and that happens a lot. But just in case it can't be resolved to the assessor, you need to have some documentation, and do ask about it, because if you don't bring in the documentation and you're going to come in with your opinion, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
It'll be a waste of your time. So you do need to get like-type properties, what they're assessed at, and make sure that you have at least 2 other ones besides your property, or you're kind of losing the battle.
Yeah. And then, if you don't get resolution there, then you do need to call the county clerk's office, 729-4144, to make that appointment. And they will set you up a time slot to come in and present that.
Yeah. Be ready to go when you get there, too. Like Darrell said, you got 15 minutes. It's not a long time.
Yeah. Well, and we're not trying to be, but just if you have this issue, if you've already gone through all the process with the assessor, then really we can usually pretty quickly get to what is the difference here and what's the issue, and seeing a lot of many times we can help, and sometimes we can't.
Right. Well,
So much of what we do is it's set by statute, and we're
Exactly.
bound by the statute and by the laws of the state on some of these things. So, but anyway, so that's it. July the 18th is that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember my first one was not fun,
yeah.
not pretty. Yeah. I was all of 23, right out of college.
Oh yeah.
Didn't know anything. and they let me know that I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's probably down in St. Louis or
no,
somewhere.
it was actually in it was Franklin County.
Oh man.
Yeah, they weren't very nice to me. But that's all right. I learned. I learned to be more prepared. I tell you that much. But it's if you've never done it, it's a unique experience. I don't recommend it. Hopefully, you can get everything worked out with the assessor. Most of the times, you can.
Right.
And that just solves the problem right
Well, it's
there.
an annual deal.
Yep.
Board of Equalization is required by statute to meet on the 3rd Monday in July to hear from people who have an issue on how their property is assessed, and so that's part of it. So ours have all been pretty good. I haven't had any complaints on any of them.
No.
We've had folks in, had a nice visit, and that was it. So
Made the determination.
yeah.
Here it is.
But again, we're kind of bound by statute as far as what's there and what we can or can't do. But sometimes we can make some change that helps a little bit. Sometimes we can't. So
All right, that's all I have, Darrell. I don't have anything else.
I think I'm caught up. I think I
Very
mentioned the
good.
courthouse would be closed. The next meeting of the commission will be next Thursday. What is that, 23rd? Yep.
Third.
So-
I want to thank Mike Dunn for coming in.
Yes, appreciate Mike coming in and visiting a little bit about the farmers market. Yeah, does a great job, and appreciate that. Community Betterment Association does a lot of good things in our community without people really realizing it. And so encourage folks to go on the website and look up Salem Area Community Betterment Association and think about
got a new website.
think about joining and helping.
Yeah.
So
It's a great organization.
anyway, so
Very,
that catches
very
us up, Stan.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you very much. Happy Father's Day to you.
Yeah, that'll be
It's
this
coming up this
Sunday.
weekend, and they're gonna have the girls home for Father's Day.
Actually, we are in process of helping get them moved. So it's a pretty good Father's Day present right there, just to get them moved back home.
There you go.
Yeah. So oldest daughter and her husband Carlos, oldest daughter Gabby and her husband Carlos, and their 3 boys are moving back to Salem. So that's a good deal. So we're going to probably be down there Sunday helping them get the final stuff loaded up and out of there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well,
If things
that'll be
work,
good.
then again, it may not. It depends on what happens today and tomorrow. So anyway, I'm got a lot of hay I've got to move here in the next day or two.
Well, sun has sure sucked that grass right up.
Got to make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah. You've got
And it's been shining.
It's been shining a lot, very much.
That's right.
Very good. All right, very good. Well, I want to thank Darrell for coming in. This program is not free. It is paid for by Darrell. We do it every first and third Friday of the month to get you up to date on what's going on in your county. And if you want to, don't forget you can sit in on the county commission meetings. They are 9 until around noonish, or until the work is done that day or items are taken care of the Monday and Thursdays, except for obviously Monday for Juneteenth. They're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're welcome to stop on by. You can just observe. You can make comments.
Sure.
And there's a time for you to make public comments as well. And it's
We have a lot of folks. We have a lot of folks just stop by to
Just
visit.
stop by and
Tell us
visit.
what a great job we're doing.
tons of those.
Some advise us that we need to do a better job, and that's okay too.
That's
Constructive criticism's good too.
Sure, absolutely.
Yep.
But we do want to remind everybody that this program is streamed, and if you missed the stream, you can go back. We'll have it archived, and it'll be there by Monday at the latest. No doubt about that. So you definitely want to check it out. If you missed something or heard something here or heard Mike, and you missed something that he said, you might want to go back and listen in. Again, it will be on our KSMOradio.com website. Very good.
Very good. I think we got her done. Yep. So we'll be back here July the 1st, I believe, if my calendar
I believe you're
looks
right.
So July, it's hard to believe. Yep. So anyway, we'll be back here. I do appreciate the chance to do this for folks. I hope folks may have learned a little bit more about some things that they didn't know before. That's the whole point, the whole goal. And but at any rate, until we're back here, I do hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy, and God bless each and every one.